Everyone is speaking out about this as the Florida Panthers ran the Edmonton Oilers show in Game 3 of this year's Stanley Cup Final. And there were a lot of extracurriculars that we're going to break down in this episode of Hat-Trick HQ and how they affect and impact the rest of this series. You're not going to miss anything that we're going to discuss today because there is a lot of juicy stuff that came out after last night's game. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Hat-Trick HQ. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 71% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening around the NHL, with the Florida Panthers, with the Edmonton Oilers, and of course, the Stanley Cup is coming up. It's going to be rewarded soon. And obviously the draft free agency. So stay tuned to the channel. Go down below, hit that free subscribe button. And again, this is the place to be for all your daily NHL news. But Mark, let's get right into it. A very, I'll call it, chippy Game 3 between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. 140 penalty minutes dished out between the two teams. The most in a cup final game since 1986, with the Montreal Canadiens in there. Ironically, two Canadian teams in that final as well. So what did you make of this? First of all, we're going to get into some specific plays, that is for sure, and some specific things that happened. Of course, we saw everything that happened with Kasperi Kapanen. Jake Wallman's been fined as well. There's a lot to get into, but what were your initial thoughts on this game, the rough stuff that ensued throughout the game, and what this means heading into Game 4?
I mean, the big thing is you have a lot of teams that are rivals. You have Canadian teams, other teams, but I think at the end of the day, we're really starting to learn these teams hate each other. We know they went to 7 last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. The Florida Panthers winning after the Edmonton Oilers lost Game 2, and we've seen the Florida Panthers take Game 3. This is where tensions are starting to get high again. We've seen it from the scrums on the ice, all the extracurricular stuff. These two teams truly hate each other, Darius, and I don't think this is going to slow down. We're going to see this continue on if it goes to Game 5, 6, 7, whatever it takes. I think we're going to continue seeing this.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. Personally, I think this series is going 7. It's going to look different than it did last year, but it's definitely going 7. It's going the distance. And, you know, it's very interesting. There's a lot that happened yesterday, and a lot of people, like, I feel like the Oilers this morning and during the day are getting a very bad rep because now, you know, they're being called a dirty team because obviously they were out of the game. They were out of the game early, and they resorted to, obviously, maybe some dirty plays, some borderline dirty plays. Obviously, you don't want to see somebody who's defenseless and Matthew Tkachuk get punched in the head by Jake Wallman, and he got fined. It's deserved, right? That makes sense. But let's not pretend. I feel like a lot of people watching this video might have been born at night, but I feel like they weren't born last night. Let's not pretend like the Florida Panthers, if they were on the opposite end of this, wouldn't be doing the exact same thing, Mark, right? Like this is the Stanley Cup final. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs. If the Florida Panthers were on the other side of this, they would be doing the exact same thing. So I do expect a big response from the Edmonton Oilers in a big way. Again, you see this in not every playoff series, but every Stanley Cup final. Any series that has actual hatred in it and everyone is laying it on the line like these two teams, you're going to see things like this. And obviously Jake Wallman got fined. I do want your thoughts on this first of all. And obviously we all saw the Jake Wallman thing where he's squirting water at the bench. He got fined for it. Sure, it's deserved. Yeah, you can't really do that. I thought it was hilarious in game, and the fact that the Panthers thought it was going to be called, I thought was hilarious because it's just not going to be. But I thought it was funny. It adds a new dynamic to the, you know, the rivalry as well. What did you think about some of that stuff, the extracurriculars? You know, we can go through a bunch of stuff. Obviously, Frederick's getting involved, breaking his stick over Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett's been unbelievable in this series. Credit where credit's due. A lot of people call him dirty. He knows how to ride the line just like Brad Marchand. But what did you think of some of this other extracurriculars as well?
I mean, if you're looking at this from the standpoint, Florida would do the same thing. Going back to the second round, when we've seen the Leafs and the Florida Panthers, what was it, 3 straight games that Brad Marchand was ejected at the end of the game for game misconduct. We know both teams would do this. It's a part of the game. If it's a dirty play, if it hurts someone, if it's intent to hurt, no, I disagree. That should not happen. But if you're going out spraying the water bottle, that adds a little bit. You're getting in people's heads. You're trying to throw them off. We know this was fined. We know the other thing was fined. It was $10,000 in total. But in my opinion, listen, this is a part of a game. This is a long season. This starts in October. You build up. Every team, every player dreams of this. Every kid that watches hockey dreams of this moment. Emotions are going to run high. I disagree with, listen, you're going to go out and you're going to play physical. Don't hurt anyone. But I don't think these like fines, the 5K for a water spray, I don't think that's justified. But in my opinion, I think we're going to continue seeing this without this fines or not. This is not going to slow down, Darius.
Yeah, and make no mistake about it, at least in my personal opinion, if the Oilers sat back, sat on the bench quietly, and took that slapping last night without any pushback, that would have been even more ridiculous. That would have been even more of a story this morning if they sat back and did nothing. I'm glad that their top guys didn't get involved in that stuff. Obviously, tensions are high. These guys are laying everything on the line. We know that the Oilers want to win the Stanley Cup so badly. Not just that, the Panthers are on the brink of a dynasty as well, doing something similar to what Tampa Bay has done and the Pittsburgh Penguins in recent years, right? And you see Brad Marchand here, who, by the way, maybe the Conn Smythe winner at this point if they win the Stanley Cup. Like, he's been unbelievable, in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. Maybe it's probably Sam Bennett, but I mean, like, Brad Marchand's right there as well. They've both been fantastic. And, you got a lot of stuff like this. Listen, the Oilers, we're not defending the Oilers or anything like that. The Oilers took a lot of nonsense penalties yesterday. Like, it was a bad game, real bad game. They got behind the 8 ball very early, and then obviously taking dumb penalties. They have to get this in order. But a lot of people are talking about how the Oilers are talking about Bennett. Oilers fans are talking about Bennett, how they have dirty players. And now, a lot of people are calling the Oilers dirty, and that, with everything that the Oilers did last night, the Florida Panthers are still not scared. And I do believe that. The defending Stanley Cup champions, they've gone up against this team before. The one thing I think is scary, though, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, is when Connor McDavid comes out and says something like this. And he said after the game, "I don't think our best has shown up all series long, but it's coming." And that's what he said after game 3 last night. And I honestly believe him, and I would be scared if I saw Connor McDavid in a suit like that with his abilities and the fact that he's already done what he's done in this Stanley Cup final. I think that he can bring it to another level. I do think that the Oilers have another level. I don't think they've played their best. I don't even know if the Panthers have played their best yet, right? But they've been playing very well. So, would you be scared of that if you're the Panthers? Because honestly, I think that it's definitely a message, right? A shot across the bow. But should be interesting to see what happens in game 4, because if the Oilers can't bounce back in game 4, yes, you still have home ice advantage, but now you're in a similar situation to last year where I thought this team might have been different this year. So I think this series is far from over, Mark, but what did you think about those comments as well?
I mean, the biggest thing is you're looking at Connor McDavid, one of the best offensive players we've ever seen. I know a lot of people on YouTube think I hate the Oilers. I do most days, but the big thing is looking at the generational talent, what the Oilers have right now. This is the team that can kind of click, unlock something, go out and score 8 goals. With the Panthers, we know how good they've been. They get under people's skins. We seen them win a Stanley Cup last year. But I think there is always that little fear, the doubt in the back of their minds that you get Connor McDavid mad. We seen the videos from last year. Obviously, they didn't win the Stanley Cup, but they unlocked something coming back from that deficit, coming in and forcing game 7 against the Florida Panthers. This is the team that has the opportunity. They're down 1 game in this finals right now. You can come back and win 3 straight. You can win 2 in a row and even up the series or make it in your favor. I think there is still fear a little bit from the Panthers. Yes, you have a lot of guys, the rats, if you want to call them, and Marchand, Sam Bennett. You can work your way down. They've built a great system over there, but I think 1 game with the Oilers going off, with the top end talent, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Connor McDavid, these guys unlocking something, going out, making the next game a statement game, I think it puts the backs of the Florida Panthers against the wall a tiny bit.
A little bit, yeah. And make no mistake about it. I mean, the Florida Panthers are still in control of this series. They're up 2-1. They've won 2 in a row. Some of their best players aren't even scoring, right? It just shows how much depth they have on the team and how much buy-in they have from the rest of the team. It's been very impressive to watch what they've done. And again, a lot of people call them dirty. I think they just know how to ride the line very, very well in these playoffs. They just know how to do it, right? And they added players like Brad Marchand who know how to do it as well, right? And it just makes them that much better. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens heading into game 4. I do think that game 3 definitely was a momentum shifting game, that's for sure. But as we saw last year, momentum can shift very quickly the other way. So we'll see how the Edmonton Oilers respond in game 4. But again, I do think that this series is far from being over. I think that the Oilers have a lot more left in the tank, but it's gonna be interesting. But let's not pretend like the Panthers wouldn't have done the same thing. This is the Stanley Cup final. Everyone's laying it on the line, and it's been a great final so far. And the one last thing I wanted to mention, and I do want your thoughts on this too, Mark, is The Oilers have played some fantastic hockey through these playoffs. Same with the Florida Panthers, but the Florida Panthers they've had some stinker games, right? Oilers really haven't had those besides starting the playoffs 0-2, right? So I feel like they were kind of due for a performance like this. These things happen all the time. We see it in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, Florida, when they lost the Stanley Cup to Vegas, I think the final score was 9-3 or something in that game. So these games do happen. So, do you think that these are things that just happen? The Oilers can bounce back. I do think momentum shifted a bit, but like last year, I mean, the Oilers were down 3-0 and it went to a game 7.
And I think the big thing is the next game, game 4, is the deciding factor, in my opinion. If you go down 3-1 in the series, it's very hard to come back unless you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, and every team does it versus them. But the big thing is you're looking at this team, the Florida Panthers. Like we've said, they're a deep team. They're deep on defense. They have great goaltending. They have the forward scoring. Sam Bennett is a madman leading the postseason in goals, and I think it was the record for most goals in a postseason, whatever the thing was. We know right now this team can get it done. The Oilers desperately, in my opinion, need to win game 4. If not, I think this could end in 6 or 7. But if the Oilers even this up, this is 100% going to 7, and I think it's anyone serious.
And the one thing to keep in mind, the Edmonton Oilers love game 4s, and Stuart Skinner is Mr. Game 4 with all of his stats. He's been unbelievable in game 4. So we'll see if that continues, or if the Florida Panthers take control or complete control over this series. Should be interesting. But let us know how you feel about everything in the comments. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of, not biased opinions, maybe some unbiased opinions. We appreciate everything from all around the league, and of course Oilers fans, Panthers fans, all of that. But let us know how you feel in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything in the NHL.